Welcome back to 31 Days of Horror. This is Phase 2, Days 8 through 14. Now I know what you're saying. Paul, is that a fucking Christmas tree behind you? Pay no attention to the balsam fir behind me. Just picture it as a giant green cone-shaped pumpkin with lights and ornaments and presents underneath it. Because the only thing that's important right now is the horror of Halloween. This is not here. Anywho, why don't we just get to the motherfucking list? Because that's what you want to see. You internet people love lists.
Please don't scream. You're so beautiful.
Maniac is a remake of the 1980 cult classic of the same name, as he helps a young artist with her upcoming exhibition. The owner of a mannequin shop's deadly suppressed desires come to the surface. This is the first film on my list that was a first-time watch. I also went into this film somewhat blind. I knew it was a remake, and I was aware of the infamous scene where Frank gets ripped apart in the original. But I really knew nothing about this remake. Never even saw the trailer, so I was quite surprised when they were still in POV 20 minutes into this movie. At first I feared this might just be a gimmick, but the context of the movie saves it from ever becoming that. This film is so from Frank's perspective that we not only see from his eyes literally, we see his delusions. We are forced to become a party to all of his actions, and it's truly unnerving. I make movies, and I know the tricks that they use to make these kinds of shots work, and I'm telling you, the effects are pulled off masterfully. The remake's take of Frank getting ripped apart is brilliant. They managed to pay homage to the original and elevate the scene to whole new levels. This film is brutal. Watching it is a visceral experience. I'm not sure how much rewatchability it has, but I really do recommend giving it a chance. Just be aware, this is one of the more disturbing entries on my list. Know what you're getting into.
Re-animator.
Mr. West.
You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head get a job in a sideshow?
It will scare you to pieces.
This is the second first-time watch on my list. Re-animator is one of those films I'm surprised I've never gotten around to watching. Loving special effects as much as I do, it seemed like a no-brainer, yet it just never happened. Re-animator is a campy send-up of an H.P. Lovecraft story. A dedicated student at a medical college and his girlfriend become involved in bizarre experiments centering around the reanimation of dead tissue when an odd student arrives on campus. This film is goddamn fun. There are exploding eyeballs, undead cats, and buckets of blood. It is campy as hell, and it knows it. The sheer absurdity of this movie is truly fantastic. I mean, the villain, he spends the entire second half of the movie walking around carrying his own head. That visual is hilarious, and they play it up. Oh god, they put it in a bucket. He drinks blood out of it. It's hilarious. It's just so much goddamn fun. And there's a lot of really creative, gruesome imagery. I mean, watching that man get decapitated with a shovel is brutal and just awesome. And he's such a slimy douche, and he totally has it coming. And all the performances are just off enough for this movie. Everyone knows, okay, let's just be a little bit wacky. Even H.P. Lovecraft's original story wasn't really taking this shit seriously. We have some awesome practical effects paired with a particularly silly script, overacting, overbearing music, and a lot of full frontal nudity. Also, severed head cunnilingus. If you like the original Evil Dead films, then this is probably a film that you're going to be into.
Hellraiser, a film by Clive Barker.
We'll tear your soul apart.
I haven't seen Hellraiser in probably 5 years, and I only ever watched it once, so this was something I really needed to reevaluate. Hellraiser 2 I've never seen. I have one friend with a terrible toy chest who's quite a fan of the franchise. She advised me to watch at least 1 and 2, but that 2 was far and away better. She's right. So, I gotta say, it's very interesting that the Cenobites are really not the antagonists in either of these films. To be honest, they're only in it for maybe a total of like 10-15 minutes. The Cenobites are more like a force of nature, like a tsunami or a volcano.
The box. You opened it. We came.
It's just a puzzle box!
Oh no. It is a means to summon us.
Who are you?
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some. Angels to others.
Their design is so damn iconic. I mean, it's S&M demons for fuck's sake. That's an image that's hard to forget. So in the first film, an unfaithful wife encounters the zombie of her dead lover. Demons are pursuing him after he escapes their sadomasochistic underworld. Together they kill a bunch of people and try to make him whole again, and, you know, puzzle boxes and demons and shit. All in all, honestly, Hellraiser Part 1, it's kinda boring. It takes a long time to get any place interesting. I mean, there's some amazing practical effects and some awesome imagery. I would say to watch the first one just so you aren't lost during Part 2.
Jesus wept.
Hellbound is fucking awesome. We deal with the aftermath of the events of Part 1, and we get to go to hell. Interestingly enough, once again, the Cenobites not really the main antagonists in this one. Well, not the original ones at least. 2 and 1 actually have a lot of connective tissue because they take place one after the other, like chronologically speaking. Much like the first one where Frank comes back from the dead, the evil wife now comes back from the dead in this one. And when they go to hell, spoiler alert, Frank does show up at some point. So we really get like a good legacy of like these villains coming back, and you know, we get to see the creation of a new Cenobite and all this just really, really interesting stuff. Plus, they kill Pinhead. I'm sure he'll stay dead for the remainder of the films.
We'll tear your soul apart.
And I don't even have to talk about how amazing Doug Bradley is as this character. I mean, he's iconic as fuck in this role. Since most of the movie takes place there, we really get to see the filmmakers just kind of cut loose and throw everything they can at us. It's just so much damn fun. Make sure you watch these two back to back.
They're dead. And you're gonna be next.
A man wakes up from a coma 28 days after a mysterious incurable virus spreads throughout the UK. He joins the band of survivors and tries to find sanctuary. I fucking love this movie. This is the film that made me want to make movies. But 28 days later, Danny Boyle reinvents the zombie genre into something terrifyingly fast and realistic. Never before has a zombie movie been so grounded in reality. This film feels real. The film is shot almost entirely on mini DV tape, which adds a choppiness and a grain that makes it feel like frantic news footage. The ease of setting up these cameras allowed them to pull off all of the opening shots for real. The opening of this film is just unforgettable. We have a really quick incident at some type of animal testing facility, and then bam, Jim wakes up naked, alone, and in a destroyed hospital. He walks out to see the streets of London completely empty. One of the things that's so fascinating about this film is that it chooses to not be set during this apocalyptic event, but after it. We only get to see the aftermath. We don't actually get to see what happened. So it kind of has a fish out of water setup, where we, along with Jim, learn about what happened. The two biggest departures from typical zombie fare that this film makes is the fact that A, the zombies are incredibly fast, which is attributed to the fact that they're not dead, they're just infected, and B, the fact that once you get bit or you get infected, you have about 10 to 20 seconds before you turn. It's great because it adds a whole new level of tension, and it gets rid of that stupid trope about, oh, somebody's bit, oh my god, are they gonna hide it? How are they gonna find out? This movie is intense, it's visceral, it's goddamn heartbreak at times, and it's damn near perfect.
I'll start working on them then. Fight! Fight! Selena!
Monster Squad.
This was more or less a first time watch for me. I'd seen the ending growing up on TV, but I never really saw it all the way through. 12-year-old Sean and his best friend Patrick are die-hard monster fanatics. Along with their friend Horace, aka Fat Kid, junior high tough guy Rudy, Sean's kid sister Phoebe, and the little Eugene, they come together and talk monsters. But when Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Gillman, and the Mummy come to their small town to get an amulet to control the world, Sean leads his friends into action to protect their town from the forces of evil. And I don't give a shit how much of an old fart I'm going to sound like, but damn, they just do not make these the way they used to. Kids' movies like this really don't exist anymore. We see these kids doing things they would never put on screen today. We've got kids cursing, smoking, peeping, bullying, using fucking shotguns, killing, fucking staking vampires and shit. This is hardcore for a kids movie. We're really pushing that PG-13 rating to the fucking brink. And this movie actually has stakes. Get it? Stakes like the wood. Fuck you. Listen, it's a pun. Shut up. Oh god. These kids actually feel like they're in danger. I mean, we saw Dracula kill one person. We saw the werewolf literally explode into pieces, which is really fucked up imagery for a kid's movie. I mean, for God's sakes, Dracula calls a little girl a bitch to her face.
Give me the amulet, you bitch!
And the entire movie subverts the expectation of being a stupid kids film by threading in some serious adult shit. Like, the Holocaust? That's a thing that's touched on. Yeah. You don't see that in Frozen. If you can get down with some good old-fashioned 80s cheese, then this is a really fun Halloween movie.
Where is my daughter? Are you mad? I am your daughter.
The Others was a second time watch for me. It was interesting to watch the film knowing the twist ending. I can appreciate the lengths that it goes to both conceal the twist and have it make sense. A woman who lives in a darkened old house with her two photosensitive children becomes convinced that her family's home is haunted. I would hesitate to call the movie scary. To me, it's more eerie and atmospheric. You definitely get a sense of the time and place that these characters inhabit. This is definitely not the horror film you'd put on for like a crowd viewing experience, but it's a nice solitary mood piece. Alright, but enough of that artsy crap. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. You want to know how the twist works. Well, here it is. Spoiler alert, they're dead. I know, very shocking, especially 2 years after The Sixth Sense. Also, Bruce Willis was dead in that too. But, you know, you really should know that by now. So you would think that this coming on the heels of Sixth Sense would not work, and that maybe we would feel a little cheated, but I actually like it. I actually like the way this twist works out because it doesn't come off as cheap or simple or a cop-out. It's actually pretty masterful the way they were able to set up this entire movie to have it make sense. Like, you can watch this movie knowing the twist and it still all works. And I think that's really cool. And then you have this great existential moment at the end where it's like, well, what do we do now? We're ghosts. Do we just chill here? We haunt shit? Yeah, I guess that's what we do. Alright, dope. In terms of my list, this is almost like a palate cleanser. We have a refined, classy, haunted house movie. So give it a watch, but don't expect an abundance of scares.
Pandorum is a lot like Event Horizon, except it doesn't suck. We have a horror sci-fi confined to a derelict ship, and of course, a dash of space madness.
Space madness.
This was a nice little surprise. I went into this blind a few years ago, and I really liked it. Astronauts Peyton and Bauer awake in a hypersleep chamber with no memory of who they are or what their mission might be. While Peyton stays behind to monitor the radio transmitter, Bauer ventures out of the chamber into the seemingly abandoned spaceship. The men quickly realize that they are not alone, and that the fate of mankind hinges on what they do next. So we have an intensely claustrophobic ship, an amnesiac hero, unknown horrors around every corner, and Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid is here!
Who is going against role here, which is a really nice change in pace. I mean, he's such a freaking goody two-shoes. It's nice to see him play the bad guy. And frankly, he's the only reason this movie even got made. Not to disparage Ben Foster or his star power, but Dennis Quaid is really the only name in this movie. Yes, I know, Daryl from Walking Dead is in there, but honestly, Norman Reedus was really just the guy from Boondock Saints and Blade 2 at this point. This is before Walking Dead came out. There's a great sense of mystery to this film. Where's the crew? Where's the ship right now? What are the monsters that inhabit this vessel? Aliens? Mutants? Demons? Are they demons? Nah, they're not demons. This isn't Event Horizon. Sam Neill, is that you? Cut it out. So the film has several twists. The first one being that these monsters are actually the crew. They had been getting fed an enzyme that lets them evolve faster, so they've adapted to live in the ship. And the creature design is amazing. The choice to hire dancers and contortionists to play the villains, oh, it's just awesome. Like, their physicality is amazing. I absolutely love the reveal at the end. Not only that Dennis Quaid is actually the bad guy and that he's the one that fucked everything up, but that they have made it. They are there. They're on Tanis. They've been underwater for over 800 years. They have succeeded. And it's pretty interesting that this is one of those few horror movies that has a happy ending. You don't see that too often. You know, I make fun of Event Horizon. It's really not that bad, but I just think Pandorum is better in every conceivable way. So why don't you check out some space horror? Just don't succumb to this space madness.
Space madness.
That is the end of Phase 2. I hope you guys can hold out for Phase 3. It should only take about 6 or 7 months for me to finish up at the rate I've been going. Am I right? Consistency. But no, we'll get it out there. I was very lucky that I pretty much liked everything in Phase 2. Phase 3, not so much. Phase 4, there's some rough ones in there. So for all those people who love negativity out there, it is coming, all right? There will be plenty of umbrage and angst that I will be spewing towards the camera. It'll be great. We can hate these movies together. All right, until next time, I'm a guy sitting in front of a camera talking about movies because I have an excellent social life. Not to disparage everyone else on the site. They're awesome.